All right, this is recording 849. The name of my podcast is Speaking to the CIA. You can find me at speakingtothecia.com or christinastation918.com. Again, the name of this specific podcast is Listen Next 849. Okay, so this is going to be more decode, okay? So it's going to be different. I'm decoding different parts along the same everything since Genesis. Okay, so it's just going to be, I'm going to talk at this point here, decode, talk at this point here, decode, talk at this point here, decode. So as always, you want to see all the original ciphers that I decoded. Again, some of it is at Tulsa Police Headquarters when I pressed charges against Gene Roberts. Some of it I still have. Some of it is online on my Pinterest, Christina Station 918. And then a lot of it is here on my podcast. And as you know, this is recording 849. Listen next 849. Okay, so continuing from the last recording, okay, someone was studying the backyard, and when I got home, or no, hang on, last night somebody told me when I had got done playing my recording and they were paying attention, they said that's also, she's using that also as Orion. The Orion belt is what she's using. And then I was like, okay, I'll make sure to put this in my podcast. And then today when I got home, people told me that they figured out a lot more. They were able to decode a lot more, but they'll wait till this is over, I guess, is what they were saying. They'll wait till this is over. They'll save what they have and they'll wait till this is over, and they're going to share more of that. So people did figure out more about the backyard. Okay, so also Orion, she's also using onion. Okay, so also the movie Holes. Okay, so how did I get from, I didn't go from belt to belt holes, but there was something else here that connected to holes. Okay, so remember when I told you in my previous podcast that the Disney movie Holes is based off of me when I was little? When I was in grade school and I was going to East Globe Elementary, how I used to dig holes in the backyard. Okay. And it was the onion. There I go. I'm like, how did I get from here to here? See, she fragments my brain, I swear. So anyway, I would dig holes everywhere. Like my front yard and my backyard, I dug holes everywhere, constantly. I twisted my ankle. My mom twisted her ankle. Again, that's also Gene using ice on us to robotically control us to step in the hole to twist our ankle, because twisted ankle, what does that mean? So twisted, AIW, and then ankle would go to Auckland underneath the valley. So I would find out in the future, looking back in time and looking back at my childhood and all my childhood memories and decoding all these ciphers, I would figure out about Auckland, which is underneath the valley. And I decoded tons and tons and tons and tons. You're going to have to go through this entire podcast series. So anyway, what some people began doing, which is what, I'm sure those of you guys here wanting to know to categorize, what some people are doing is they've taken my audio podcast and they've saved copies of it, and then they pull out the captions and then they dump it. There's software you can download, and they dump it into like an indexing system. So then you want to know everything that has to do with a certain topic, such as a crime that I've decoded and solved and know that Gene committed, or like anything surrounding anything. Then you could pull up keywords, and then all the podcasts that have that in it will all connect together. So that's what a lot of people are doing out there. So anyway, okay, so the movie Holes, so then that also would go to space. So like the black hole, the Milky Way, that would go to space, and would also go to Zodiac Killer, Charles Manson. Also, it also goes to, remember, okay, there's two different things I want to talk to you about here. I'm going to remind you, this is already in my podcast. I'm going to go over this again. Remember when I told you Gene iced me first, and then I took off, and this is when we lived in the first house in Globe on 11th or 12th Street. I took off, and I wanted to ride on my mom's friend's motorcycle, and it was Sunday morning, and I took off, and I went like trotting across Globe. I was like in first grade, but I was like, I'm gonna ride a bike. And he had a motorcycle, and where he lived, my mom and Jeff's friend, where he lived, their house was like inside a bowl, basically. It was like all like desert wall around their house. So it was probably like, from my memory, of course everything is bigger when you're little, but like maybe 3 or 4 stories high compared to like a regular height of a house. Okay, so I went riding with them on it one day when my mom and Jeff were over there visiting, and I like had the time of my life. It was crazy. I felt like Evel Knievel. I was like so excited. So I was going to go do this again. I wanted to go spin around and round in this thing, and I was just going to go get up. My mom and Jeff were sleeping in. I was like, I'm going to go ask him for a motorcycle ride, and out the door I went. So anyway, Gene, I decoded all of that. You're going to see my previous podcast on that. So Gene Roberts iced me there. Okay. So then the next situation, advance in time a couple of years, we lived at 306 East Street at the second house in Globe, and I was still in grade school, but I was a little bit older, so I was like probably like, I don't know, like third or fourth grade maybe. And I had a friend that lived on behind my house, like on Cottonwood, so it goes down the hill. So one day I asked my mom if I could take my little sister with me to go over to my friend's house to go play. And my mom, she's like, oh, I don't know if that's a good idea. And I was like, let me take her. I want to take her. So my mom was like, you can take her. So anyway, we went to her house, and I knocked on the door, and she wasn't there. And then I kept knocking on the door, and she wasn't there. And then I turned around, and my little sister was gone. And that's another time that Gene used ice. This time she was using ice on my little sister. Okay, and Jennifer, her name is Jennifer, she was gone. Like, she was gone. I'm like, what the heck? And I'm like, I walk out off my friend's property and now onto Cottonwood, and I'm looking up and down the street. I don't see her anywhere. And then I go home, and then I tell my mom, and then all chaos ensues. Just like when I got home from when I went to go take off and go ride the motorcycle, chaos ensued. Okay, so anyway, okay, so that little friend of mine, I used to go over to her house all the time. I was really obsessed with Barbies when I was little. My mom was obsessed with Barbies. I was obsessed with Barbies. My grandchildren are obsessed with Barbies. Okay, so it's very, very, very special. It's very special to me. I mean, it's very, 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 very special to me. But anyway, so my friend, I always used to go over to her house because she had like a bunch of cool Barbies, and she had all kinds of clothes, and she had all the everything, right? So anyway, I can remember being over there playing, and I was getting one of the little Barbies dressed and putting her in a little white, like a wedding dress, like a little Barbie white wedding dress. And I associated that white wedding dress with Loretta Lynn, okay, the singer Loretta Lynn. And Loretta Lynn, okay, is Patsy Cline's best friend. I know that Gene Roberts and her Manson occult crashed Patsy Cline's plane. Patsy Cline is my mom's favorite singer, and Patsy Cline is also one of my favorite singers of all time. There's hardly a song of hers that I don't know by heart. I love her. Gene Roberts used Patsy Cline's music to embed and encode in all kinds of terrorism and crime that she committed. So when I grow up, present day, this past 10 years, I go through my life and my heart is breaking. I'm in tears. First, I find out what she did to Patsy Cline. And then I listen to Patsy Cline's music and I start decoding within her music and how Gene used her music. And it's making me like dry heave in tears, making me sick to my stomach. Like, how could you? But that's been Gene's intention the whole time. She still does that today. Anything that I love, or anyone that I love, or anything that I love, Gene sets out to destroy. Literally destroy. And she has been that way with me my entire life. She is the leader of Charles Manson. She wants to sacrifice me. I'm like a little freaking pincushion to her. It's entertainment to her. And then it's also entertainment for her to try to get away with it. Like, she's got the power. Like, she wants to paint me as the bad guy because I'm telling on her for stalking me and committing terrorism and everything else that she's done. And she wants herself painted as, oh my God, I can't even with this woman. But anyway, Gene has herself just painted. She has herself worshipped. It's ridiculous. And I know it's not that way all over the United States. And I definitely know it's not like that around the world. But in Tulsa, everybody does everything Gene says. Everything is Gene, 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 Gene. And if Gene wants to attack me, then guess what? People attack me. They will spread Gene's lies and then go out and commit crimes and do little stunts, all that satisfy Gene's appetite for wanting to stalk and attack me. It is deranged. Now, not everybody in Tulsa is like that. But a lot of people do that. A lot of people are like that. And I'm like, I'm going to just turn in Gene. Because that's what Gene is like, like, I dare you. What are you going to do? Tell everybody to stop gang stalking you? Like, she feels she's got, like, ultimate power. No, you're the kingpin. I'll just turn you in until you're arrested. Because you're not going to gang stalk me. Or occult stalk me. Or much less get away with any of the crimes you've committed, much less steal my name or my life or my identity. You're not going to do that. Anyway, so Loretta Lynn starred in Coal Miner's Daughter. And Coal Miner's Daughter was out around that same time period, okay? And I had associated Loretta Lynn's wedding dress with Sissy Spacek's wedding dress with my friend's Barbie that I was putting the wedding dress on. I can still see the Barbie. I can still see myself at my friend's house putting the wedding dress on the Barbie. Like, I always associate that with Loretta Lynn. Anyway, when I was in Slidell, I started decoding my dad told me something, and I was kind of pissed when he told me. Not pissed, like, I was kind of like, okay. But he's probably like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. But anyway, so he told me, he tells me that Jean had it really rough. He goes, Jean had it really rough when she was growing up. She grew up really poor, and her dad was really mean to her. And she used to have to put newspapers in her shoes. She didn't have regular shoes. She had to put newspapers in her shoes. So she's telling me, or my dad is telling me this, and I'm like, why are you telling me this? Like, I'm just like, I don't come from the land of having it all. You know what I mean? Like, why are you I don't, but he like, at the time, like, the way when I look back at it, he loved her. He's having compassion for her. And me, I'm like, no, Jean is filling you full of crap. And I don't feel sympathy for Jean for having to walk with freaking newspaper in her freaking shoes. She's filling you full of crap. This is fishy. But anyway, so my parents, my mom and Jeff, they were not poor. They were not rich. And I did not get everything I wanted. And I didn't always get everything that I needed. And my kids are the same. Like, life is a struggle. Like, I'm blessed today, like, how good things are. You know what I mean? And that is because of my boys, is their diligence and their heart. I mean, my boys are two very, very, very good men. But anyway, so in the middle of decoding, I decode Loretta Lynn, and I'm decoding and I'm like, when I'm decoding it, I'm like, this can't even be real, but this is really freaking real. She's tying in my memories, okay? She wanted me to remember back to Barbie, and then she wanted to tie in my freaking Pro Wings that I had, which, for those of you who don't know, Pro Wings were like the Antichrist of tennis shoes back in the 80s. You know how Prince, the Fresh Prince says, I wanted Adidas and she bought me Zips? Okay, this is what Pro Wings were back then. Like, you didn't even want to be caught dead in a pair of Pro Wings, okay? So, anyway, my Pro Wings, like, the bottoms of my soles flapped. Like, they flapped. Like, I could stick my whole hand underneath the arch of my foot. Like, I could stick my whole hand, the holes in my shoes were like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and I'm sure we've all grown up with that, with memories of that. But anyway, so she's tying all of this together, and she's using Loretta Lynn's life. Now, for those of you who watched Coal Miner's Daughter, it's a documentary on Loretta Lynn. It's precious. Loretta Lynn is precious. It's a documentary on her life and how she grew up in Butcher Holler. Okay? So, anyway, she's literally, like, stealing Loretta Lynn's life, and she's feeding my dad a line of bull. Okay? Because Jean's dad is an executive in Warner Brothers. I don't know if he's alive or not. I don't know if he's alive or not. but he's an executive or was an executive. Like, she's a key in Warner Brothers. And it's very bad because anytime, not now because of my podcast, everybody knows what's going on. But like in Mental Telepathy, if anybody would ever say anything Warner Brothers, all of Jean and all of her occult and all her onslaught would come on and like literally like attack the shit out of me. And people would get effing pissed. And people would be like, Jean's family member does not stand for Warner Brothers or Warner Brothers advocating any attacks on anyone because of Jean's family member being in Warner Brothers. Like, they couldn't stop Jean and her Manson occult and Ku Klux Klan from, like, there's no way to stop her. She thinks she owns the United States. The Manson occult / KKK. So I would like literally it's like I'm kind of getting attacked right now. Like, she always wants to attack me when it comes to Warner Brothers. So anyway, so she did not grow up poor. And she's lifting Loretta Lynn's life and painting it as her own life, just like she does to me today. She pretends to be me, Christina Marie Stacia, daughter of Barry Stacia and Clan Ashby, mother of Anthony and Michael Guadarrama. She claims to be me as a child. She pretends to be me as a child. She steals my decode and she commits terrorism. She makes terror threats at people and she commits terrorism. And she also pretends to be me present day. And she's running around committing terrorism. And all world governments, everybody's onto it. But the problem is, because of the 3 issues, she's holding people hostage. She's running a hostage racket. And she's got access to severe weapons, and she's obviously got hiding places that no one can get to underground, which I know that's what they've been doing, but that's not happening underground here. They're making, Gene Roberts and her occult are making all kinds of little freaking hideouts underneath this street. Like, they're stealing electricity, they're stealing wireless, they're stealing water. Also, I can hear, when I used to be in, I wasn't always in my room that I'm in now, I was in a different bedroom. The other bedroom I was in, remember my podcast, okay, where I was talking about how low the floor was, and I do that in here, trying to pay attention to the depth of the floor below me, like how deep is under, because I can sense and I can feel and I can somewhat see. So anyway, one night they got pissed and stormed out, and this was in my other room and it was underground, and they slammed a door, and they slammed the door so hard the wall of my bedroom shook. So there's like construction, like there's like walls and doors and stuff down there. So anyway, it makes me mad that she thinks that just like she did to Sharon Tate, she also claims she's Sharon Tate. She killed Sharon Tate. She thinks she can kill people and steal their identity. And it's just, it drives me insane. But anyway, so what was I gonna say also here? Okay. Also, I wanted to talk about Mr. Telephone Man New Edition. So this was so cute. This is a uplifter. I was so appreciative. That song, Mr. Telephone Man, there's something wrong with my line. I dial my baby's number, but I get a click every time. It's from New Edition. Okay, so the words are pretty spectacular. So what I did was I posted a link to the Mr. Telephone Man music video, and I put it on the Smithsonian Museum of the American Indian, which is next door to the White House in Washington, D.C. I put it on there, and then in mental telepathy, I'm like, please listen to the song. I'm asking you, would you please go next door? Would you please go next door? And please go tell Mr. Trump that I am requesting the arrest of Gene Jernigan Roberts. And they were like, they got it instantly. And the Smithsonian actually went over to the White House. They said, we'll do this for you, Miss Christina Stacia. They went over to the White House next door and went and talked to the White House. Some strange girl is sending us a new edition, Mr. Telephone Man. So she's trying to reach us because you're not answering her. So you need to respond to her. So anyway, I was so thankful. So thank you, Smithsonian Museum of the Native American. I really, really appreciate it. And hopefully soon, Gene Jernigan Roberts and her Manson occult will be arrested. So, something else they said on the Kerry, remember I was telling you about the Kerry connections? Okay, she pre-planned this with her Manson occult with Synanon, and now it's a merge of multiple occults, bigger than what you can consume. So I'm not even going down that road. It's already in my podcast. But the carry and conceal or open carry, okay, all the liquor stuff and the booze and all that, okay. So Jean used that as her theme. So her whole Synanon AA theme, okay. All right, then another thing that she did was when she pre-planned to do 9/11, the World Trade Center were 2 skyscrapers. So in the word skyscraper, okay, remember when I told you about me wanting to run away, and I planned to run away in grade school? And I packed my Barbies, and I packed peanut butter and jelly, and I packed Wonder Bread and a knife and a spoon, and stuck it by the back door and tried to convince myself that I was going to run away. Okay, you have to see my whole podcast on this. Okay, and then I chickened out. I decided I wasn't going to run away. I chickened out, and I was too afraid to put all the food back, the peanut butter and jelly and the bread and the knife and the spoon and all that back in the kitchen. Okay, so remember I told you I put the bread, a loaf of bread, in my mom's big gigantic Pampers sewing box. Okay, and then there was all this sewing scraps over the top of it. And then like a year later or 2 years later when we moved, my mom was cleaning out the giant sewing scraps box. And then there is the Wonder Bread 2 years old. Okay, so you're going to see my podcast on it. So anyway, she is using, okay, that was Pampers. So she has the Pampers box and then the sewing scraps in this. So that is more evidence that Gene Roberts pre-planned to do the World Trade Center attack. And you can see Pampers box in this and sewing scraps in this. And you can also see the M is missing from Pampers, okay? And then you have, if you add in box, then you have Boxum, and then you have Buxom, okay? So there's that. So see all code Buxom and everything Buxom related. Then another thing that someone saw inside Skyscraper, and more evidence that Gene Roberts and her Manson occult did the World Trade Center attack, is Crepe Suzette, okay? So she used that too. And then also crepes are French, which means she's making a reference to Vicky government. She's making a reference to using anarchy to control and manifest a new form of government. Her wanting to crash the United States government, okay? And you're going to have to see all code Vicky government, VICHY. Okay, and so Suzette would be Susan, she's making a reference to Susan Atkins. Okay, and somebody said also Mavis is in that. So again, see all code Mavis. Okay, and then something made me jump from here to Wounded Knee. I want to talk about Wounded Knee. I've got more decode on Wounded Knee. So it's not a lot here. I've decoded Wounded Knee 1 and Wounded Knee 2. So let me go through this and then I'll end this recording. I don't know what made me jump from here to Wounded Knee though. Okay, so anyway, so note the 70 was a 71 day invasion, and then I was born November 13th, 1971. Okay, so one thing, I've already decoded Wounded Knee 1 and 2, but I want to, and they already know. Let me clarify this real quick for people that are just first listening in. Wounded Knee 1 and 2, you're going to have to study Wounded Knee 1 and 2. Wounded Knee 1 happened in 1890, December 26th, 1890 on Boxing Day. Wounded Knee 2 was an uprising in the 70s, and I believe it was the Lakota, and I believe it was a standoff. Okay, now Gene Robertson or Manson occult, everybody's saying FBI did it. Gene Roberts and her man, she's got claws in everything. Okay, I don't pay attention to the claw work or the spider work. I pay attention. I'm trying to get to the source of this. Okay, so I go underneath everything. So it's just like if a dope dealer, well, I don't even say the dealer, if there is a dude manufacturing drugs and then he sells the drugs, or he gives the drugs to the dope, pays a dope dealer to deal the dope, and then you buy the dope, okay, and then you get caught for buying the dope, you go to jail, you get in trouble. But the person who's manufacturing the dope, if they're still manufacturing the dope and they're not turned in or go to jail, then how does that clean up any of that entire mess? It doesn't. So you're going to have to kind of look at the FBI like that. So the FBI is not the manufacturer, okay? The FBI is probably, well, now they're probably all this now, but the FBI is not the manufacturer. This was done underneath the FBI and then spidered into the FBI. Underneath the Masons, underneath Native Americans. I don't care who you blame, Gene. I've already decoded it. It's decoded. So please stop. So throughout American history, we have problems with the FBI. FBI. That doesn't mean the FBI is absolved, of course, because what situation are we in today? Is Gene Roberts arrested? No. Is there Manson occult out running wild, thinking they're getting away with doing anything they freaking want, including stealing my name and my life and stalking me and my kids and committing terrorism and running rackets? I mean, they're just out running buck wild, doing whatever the frick they want. They're even so bold, they even call themselves FBI and cops. And you're going to see on my podcast on that. Did you know that the people that are calling themselves FBI and cops, if you go to the source, which is Gene Robertson or Manson occult, do you know what she did? She shook them down and she threatened them. Now, they're not pansies going, no. They probably didn't realize how big and how serious this was, and they're probably like, okay. You're threatening us for a piece of cake from our cake, the whole pan is going to follow you. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's not only the whole pan, the whole cake, the whole pan is going to follow you. You don't go and threaten the FBI or the CIA or the police into giving you fake police badges or anything else and expect that they're not going to follow you. Okay, they threaten them. Okay, this is very, very big threats out. So, anyway, okay, so as I was saying, so Jean Roberts and her Manson occult. Now, her Manson occult's from the late 60s forward. She formed the Manson occult. And then her Manson occult was something else before the 60s. You're going to have to see all my podcasts, see all my decoded ciphers. Go talk to people. Stop listening to people who want to be firecracker, boom, boom, boom cheerleaders and blame everything on the Masons and everything else that passes by their happy go day. They don't know what they're talking about. They do know they're lying, and they're doing it to antagonize people on purpose and to purposely, intentionally mislead people is what they're doing, and they're trying to get people's money. Okay, so the same thing, she did this underneath Native Americans too, and I've got a ton of podcasts out on this. You're going to have to go through my whole podcast, like all the podcasts. Like, I've turned her in for totally stalking Native Americans, for trying to make it look like Native Americans are doing something that they're not doing, and catching her hiding on Native American land and planning to do the World Trade Center attack. I've turned Jean Roberts in for that. Just because she's out or about the town acting like she's this and that, and she's the proclaimer of, you know, and everything she says, everybody just go along with. No. Jean Roberts needs to go to jail. So, anyway, okay, so Wounded Knee, the first one, December 26, 1890. So, okay, so if you take 2001, okay, the World Trade Center attack happened September 11, 2001. So if you take 2001 minus 1890, it is, guess what? 111. And you know what that means. Lightning bolt, lightning bolt, lightning bolt. Which is pretty freaking scary. Okay, you're going to have to see all my decode on lightning bolts. So Jean uses 2 lightning bolts and 3 lightning bolts as Ku Klux Klan attacks, okay? I don't know, when I decode the ciphers, sometimes she uses 2 of them and sometimes she uses 3 of them. I don't know what makes her go from using 2 of them to 3 of them. I don't know. All I know is using 2 or 3 of them. She does use 1. So the 1 must be like the number 1 itself. See, I know how to decode. I've decoded all the numbers. Okay. I'm not going to go through all numbers right now. Let me go with the number 1, okay? Let me just go over number 1 with you. So how Jean Roberts has used numbers in history, okay, she commits crimes with numbers, okay? So learning how to decode crimes that she's committed, you have to know what all the numbers mean and how she used them, okay? She is a Satanist. She used numbers evilly, okay? Now, there's a lot of other people that use numbers too, but the crimes that I've decoded that she's committed, she's underneath those numbers, the use of those numbers, but some of those numbers have manifested into what we use in regular life, regular day. We keep the Americana of it. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want, and nobody wants America destroyed or anyone destroyed. Jean Roberts simply needs to go to jail. And Jean Roberts does want to destroy America. She wants to destroy everywhere. Okay, so anyway, using the tradition of the Americana, like figuring out the Masonic meaning of the numbers and using them in that tradition, and then carrying on the Americana forward, is a very, very cool thing. And everybody does that. And everybody knows how the numbers are originally used. Everybody knows the crimes that Jean committed. Like, everybody's just waiting for Jean to be arrested. So, but people are in a very, like, different state with the numbers today. Okay? Like, it's very cool how people use numbers. It's very cool. But anyway, how God uses numbers to each number means something to God. Okay, so what God means with numbers is different than how Jean used the numbers. Okay, so anyway, as I was saying, so the number 1 is a snake. Okay, it's a snake that's in a relaxed state. Okay, like, I'm here, you've got my attention, okay? So, like, you're ticking me off is what it is, okay? So, that's how Jean uses it, okay? So, then you go to number 2, okay? That is a snake. The snake is getting angrier. See how the snake is going up? The snake's getting ready to bite. Number 3... the snake is very pissed. And the snake strikes. Now, the snake strikes at 3. And then the number 4 is... there's all kind of... I'm only going on the snakes part of this. I could go on decoding numbers forever with you guys. I could do a whole thing on it. How Jean uses it and how God uses numbers. I'm only specifically talking about the usage of snakes with numbers, okay? So, the number 4... okay, the way that she uses a snake is you're really dead. Like, you're gonna get, like, it's a 2-headed snake is what it is. You're that dead. Okay, and then the number 5, okay, is a V in Roman numerals. That's also a snake strike. It's the 2 fangs. Okay, people also use that. The 1 and the 5, people always also use that for spider bites. So spider bites and snake bites. So the 5, I'm going over the 5. Over the 5, the snake is digesting. The snake is digesting his food. It goes all the way up to 8. Now, I don't have it clear all the way up to 8. Or it goes all the way up to 9. I don't have it clear at the higher numbers what the snake is doing, but basically this is what I've decoded is the snake is relaxed, then the snake is mad, then the snake strikes, then the snake eats, then the snake dissolves its food, digests its food, which I think that's at 5 or 6. And then the snake relaxes. So, I don't know. There's 8, and it goes with courses in a meal. So, like the 8 courses of a meal. So that would be where the snake would... See, the top numbers, I'm like, I don't have all that clearly decoded yet. But I know it's different formations of the snake, okay? So anyway... the number 1 is also used as a lightning bolt. It's a lightning rod, okay? So the number 1, you know those magic wands that have, you whip them out and then they bend into like a lightning bolt? Like there's string in it and it bends into 3 pieces? Like you can whip out a magic wand and it goes and it extends? Okay, so that's what the number 1 does. So it turns into a light. So a 1 is a lightning bolt, okay? So it stands for lightning, Okay, that's how God uses it. He also uses it for man. Okay, he also uses the number 2 for woman, for a female, because she's bowing. The 1 would be Adam and the 2 would be Eve. Okay, so 0 is the planet. Okay, Gene uses 0 as the U, as you guys know, a hole. You're in the hole. You're in trouble. Okay, 0 really means the planet. People also use the 0 as a halo. Okay, so it means the planet. So it's the beginning of Earth. So you have the planet formed, and then lightning struck, the rain came, and then life grew, and then Earth populated and Earth grew. So goes throughout the numbers. That's how God uses the numbers. So it's like, when I figured out how God uses the numbers, I was like, oh my God. Because my brain is so filled with so much of the crimes that Gene committed, like I was bawling. And I figured out a whole bunch more. But like, I decoded the heck out of it. And I decoded tons and tons of it. So it was just like weight lifted off of me. You know what I mean? To know that there is beautiful usage of numbers the way that God intended them. They weren't created for Gene to go crazy, which is what she's done. So anyway, okay, so back to this. So the 111, so the original 1 would probably be like pissed, and then really pissed and super pissed, I guess is what that is. But I know the 2, whenever I see 2 1s, it'd be 2 lightning bolts, or 3 lightning bolts, I know that is Ku Klux Klan attack. Okay, so anyway, so 2001 minus 1890. So that's, that's how scary that is. That's how old this is. Showing even further back the pre-planning Gene of doing 9/11. Okay, Gene pre-planning to do 9/11, because this is very old. Okay, so then I automatically know, I can see in the 2001 to add 111 to 2001, and then that comes out to 2112. So one cancels out the other. And then also, I know instantly whenever I see 21 and 2 zeros, I already know 2100. I've decoded 2100. In the future, you're going to have to see on my podcast in 2100. So I know automatically what is 2100 minus 1890. 2100 minus 1890 is 210. Okay, 210. Okay, which is, if you cancel, there's 1 0 in 210, and there's 2 zeros in 2100. So if you cancel, like doing the reduce, if you take one of the zeros out, then you have the 210, and that decodes out to Abe, A-B-E. So you know that's Abraham Lincoln reference. It's also probably a baby reference. I don't know. But this probably decodes out even further. So 2100, I know it decodes out. I'm just giving you the highlights. So 2100 in military time is 9 o'clock. So it's 90, right? Okay. So if you cancel a 0 using half, and then you do half of 90, that's 45. And then you put the 0 back in, that's 405. That's the Oklahoma City bombing. So again, that proves that our Manson occult / KKK did the Oklahoma City bombing and the World Trade Center attack. Okay, and it is going off of the original Wounded Knee. Okay, now you can see where Wounded Knee 2 how she tried to control or try to get inside with her Manson occult / KKK and also FBI to try to control that. And it's aggravating. It is not. Native Americans keep trying to have a voice, and it makes me feel bad. I'm trying to turn in Gene Roberts, and all Gene Roberts wants to do is sell kids and make money and get away with committing all this crime. And to hell with what anybody else wants anywhere. Everybody in this nation has a voice on all kinds of matters and issues that need to be heard, but nothing matters except Gene and her Manson occult / KKK getting away with freaking committing a litany of crime and crashing the government. And then making Gene, who is in the Ku Klux Klan, who is Charles Manson, and she fools people and lies to people and suckers and cons people like that. And people are tired of it. Gene Roberts needs to be arrested. I just want her arrested. But anyway, so then I got another recording to make after this one, so I'm going to stop this recording because I'm already at 51 minutes. But anyway, that's all.